Thank you, Rod. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you for bearing with us as we work through those technical issues. So joining us today, as always, Teresa, Steph, and I, and we have a special guest teacher today. Lori Meyer will be speaking to us, and we'll introduce her a little bit further along as we get started. So we will start with our traditional territorial acknowledgement.
We acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. These indigenous nations, known as the Anishinaabeg and Lenape, agreed through their ancestral languages to the mutual sharing of the land, with obligations and responsibilities to the environment. Today, these responsibilities and obligations extend to all peoples.
Okay, so we did get a little bit of feedback from you last week, and two things that came up was a question about report cards, which Teresa is going to address. I know since that question was posted, a memo did come out, so perhaps your question was already answered, but in any case, we will just quickly go over that, as well as there was interest expressed in looking at Bitmoji virtual classrooms, and that is what Lori is here to do with us today. But to start, we're going to let Teresa talk us through the report card process.
All right. So people have questions about marks. So we do, I'm sure you've all heard already, you do not need to put term 1 marks in. That's considered struck work, so we're not doing that. Don't worry about that. To get your marks for this year, evidence of students' their accomplishments can be used. So anything from the starting of September till March 13th. In growing success, it states determining a report card grade will involve teachers' professional judgment and interpretation of evidence. So you just have to do what you think is right. The only time really an I should be given, which, I mean, this you have to check with your own administrators, but it's mostly for like when children weren't able, as in illness, or were, is what they stated in that memo, like a prolonged illness where they couldn't do the work. And then all report cards, this is again determined by your administrator, should be in by, I think they said no later than Friday, June the 12th. Yeah. And if the student has moved in, someone talked about the 6-week rule. If a student has moved in from our board, you just contact their former teacher from the LKDSB. If it's out of board, then you still just you try your best. I think it believes you have to use an I where appropriate, but then again, it's always up to your administrators. So please check in, and there should be more coming with the Ministry of Education anyway. So that's what I know.
Okay. Are there any questions around that still? I know there was a question last week, so I want to make sure we address that, but recognizing that memo came out after that. Is there anything that needs clarification around report cards that we can help with?
Angela, this is Jane.
Sorry, who is it?
Jane.
Hi, Jane.
Hi. So for those of us who teach math, there were a couple of math strands in term 2 that we did not get to before March 13th. So I guess a lot of us have questions about could we sort of use evidence gathered in the classroom, even though we hadn't formally studied, for example, 3D geometry. So we're doing that remotely. Can we just sort of, I guess it's a case of professional judgment.
Like, so observations and conversations are considered data, right? It's relevant data. Data is my understanding of it is that will be acceptable. Everyone is recognizing that we're in a different situation, right? This is not business as normal. So I think your professional judgment is going to be key more than ever. But if you have any, talk to your administrator. I don't want to say anything incorrectly, but that was my understanding, Jane.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. If that is all, we will move on. There's just a few ELL things that we need to make sure we are clear on.
Just a quick refresher, just in case anyone had questions around the ESL ELD box on the report card. If you are modifying for your ELLs, then you check the box. Even if you're only modifying some of the expectations in a subject, you're still checking the box. Any subjects that are not modified do not receive the box checked. So, oh, sorry.
And there's no statement. We don't have a blanket statement that gets put in the box. And so for French immersion or French, core French, if you are modifying that program, you do check that box. So.
Thanks, Teresa.
Thanks, Teresa. No problem.
Okay, Steph, do you want to just talk to what you put in the, sorry, Steph Maskins, in the chat box? Do you feel comfortable?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so my principal just sent us an email after me hounding him about what information he had gathered yesterday. There was a meeting with Ben Hazard and Marilyn Anderson to clarify some report card expectations, I guess. So if the Strander subject was not taught at all in term 2, if you just hadn't gotten to that in person, use the evidence that you have the best that you can. So sounds like they're talking professional judgment here, whatever you do have and you can pull from. If you still feel that you are unable to provide a marker comment, then this is an exceptional situation and an I would be used. So if you truly have not touched on it whatsoever, then you might need to include an I. You'll need to record the situation, inform your principal, and then the principal will discuss it with Ben and Mary Lynn from the sounds of it. And then your FI strands might look different from previous report cards due to this situation as well. So I know that I personally have stuck with a memo that we received many years ago, that the term 1 and term 2 report card comments themselves, the written comments, should focus on reading and writing. And that will likely not be the case for me this time around. I'll probably focus more on oral because I have more data around that. But so I guess it's just whatever we're able to gather, we will comment on.
Right.
Might be different for different kids as well.
I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Hope that helps clarify. And Corey, you're right. The grade 3 core French, I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that. So as you are aware, generally in grade 3, first term, listening and speaking are reported and commented on, and term 2 is the first time that really writing and reading are reported on. So this will, without a doubt, you have very limited data to report on your reading and writing. Using your professional judgment of that time we did have of term 2, and then perhaps you were doing some reading and writing even though we weren't reporting on it in term 1. You might have already have gathered some evidence of their reading and writing throughout that first half of the year that you could use towards that. Everyone is very cognizant of the fact that our data will be a little bit more limited than what we're used to, especially in a situation like you just brought up, Corey. Thank you.
I was just going to say, and parents as well are aware, like they know we all know what's going on, so don't try to fret too much.
Okay, if there aren't any further questions or comments around that, I think we are ready. Hopefully I got this right. Yeah, we are ready for Lori. So Lori, I'm going to stop sharing so that you can, let's hope it works.
Okay. I just want to say thanks for having me here today. And really, the only reason I've been able to learn how to do this is thanks to all the teacher sharing that's going on social media platforms right now, like Twitter and Instagram. There's just so many amazing teachers I follow from our board and from the United States and Canada. And there's so many people are sharing, and it's just really led to me to learning new things, which has been really fun. So I'm going to show you a virtual classroom that I made. one for my grade 4s and one for my grade 3s. Can you see that, everybody?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is the one that I made for my grade 4s. I don't teach science, I teach a literacy because I teach English to FI, but the science teacher had let me know that he really hadn't been able to get to the soil and rocks and mineral units. So I really did look at the big ideas of those units and tried to incorporate them into this virtual classroom so that, you know, hopefully they would be able to experience and learn some of those big ideas that they might be missing in the classroom right now. So first of all, to make the classroom, you have to start by putting in a background. So usually I just go right here, and when I choose an image, I just go to Google image search, and I usually put in something like wall and floor. So when you choose that, then you can get an image where you have a wall and a floor in it, and you can just choose one to insert right into your background. And you can search separately for a wall and floor, but I just think this is a lot easier all in one package. So I insert my background, which I have on there. And then you want to start inserting all your different little things like your tables and chairs. So the most important thing when you do that, so you have to go insert image, search the web. You have to search for a PNG or a transparent image, or else you're going to end up with a piece of clip art or an image that has the white square around it. So if you're looking for a table, PNG, and then all the images here, if I were to choose one of those, just let it insert. Oh, and that one didn't work, which happens sometimes. I'm gonna try another one. There we go, I'll pick that one. PNG and transparent should work better. Here we go, so that's what it should look like, and then you can resize to whatever you want. So you just go around and you just put in all these little images. You know, I search for a whiteboard. You can also go on to Google to insert images. I'm gonna try that now. This is kind of in my way here.
While you're getting there, Lori, just in case, if you have pictures that you want to use that do have a background, if you go to remove.bg in your browser, you can dump it in.
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, there are little apps like remove.bg where you can go and take, so say you had like a picture of your dog or something you wanted to include, then you could download that and go to remove.bg and remove the background so that it becomes a transparent image and it just blends nicely into your classroom. So if I went to Google and I wanted to search for something that I couldn't find, I'll choose lamp. Can you see my Google page?
Yep.
Okay. So there are tools. When you go to images, there's tools where right here you can pick that you want labeled for reuse, so you know that you're not taking an image illegally. And you can also choose transparent. So these images are ones that you should be able to copy and paste. I also noticed when I come on here that a lot of them are from the pixabay.com website. So that's another website that you might want to go to search for images. So you can always take something like one of these. And my son likes to tell me, Mom, those don't always work. So like anything, you sometimes have to see what happens. But that one worked there. Okay. So that's just kind of how you put in all the different images that you want to make a fun background, to make it engaging for your students. That once you're done the fun part, then you kind of need to think about, or maybe you want to actually first think about what are all the things you wanted to include. So when I made this virtual classroom, I knew I wanted it to be very literacy based. So I went onto Google and I inserted a picture of the EPIC logo. And once I insert something like the EPIC logo, what you do is you hit Control K. And when you hit Control K, there is this box that comes up. And what I did is if I just go to, say I go to Epic Books, Epic Reading. I have to keep moving things around here. And I just want to have the sign-in page for my students to get to. You can just copy that link and you go back to where you hit Control K and you just paste it right in there and apply it. And now it's like that image is hyperlinked to Epic Books. So when I click on it, it will bring my students right to the Epic Books login page. So on this Epic Book log, in the instructions, I let them know that click on Epic and read from the Rocks and Minerals books in your mailbox. And I put the class code there in case they forgot. So another part of making my virtual classroom was going into Epic Books and selecting a lot of books about rocks and minerals. I made sure that I chose ones that were read to me, mid-level reading, higher level readings. So there's a wide selection of different level books in there that the kids can read all on the same topic, so that hopefully there's something for everybody. I also wanted to have videos. So to put in my videos, I just did a Google image. Actually, first I went to YouTube and I Googled the different rocks and minerals videos and found the ones that I liked. Then when I found one, I put in just inserted from Google a picture, and then again, just hit Control K and put the YouTube video right in there. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions about putting videos in? If you wanted me to show more, or you're good? Okay. I also put in a little poster, again, something I just got off of Google. I do find that when you have something like a poster, it's always nice to put like a border around it and thicken it up just to kind of make it stand out. And one of my favorite parts of the Google Classroom is I do have on my images here that you can click on the rocks and do one or more investigations. So if they click on the rocks here, I actually have a Google Doc attached, and I'll open that up. And I just took screenshots. So I used Control Print Screen. I was in a book in Epic reading, and I didn't want to just say to them, go to this book and choose an experiment, because there's a lot in there. So I wanted to, narrow their focus on the ones that I thought were most important and easy to do at home. So I just did some print screens and then pasted in a couple different experiments, hands-on investigations that I thought they would be able to do at home. So that's linked in there as well. So within the virtual classroom, there's reading material, there's videos, there's the hands-on experiments, there's a website that they can go to. And then the last thing here, I have a link to Flipgrid. That's something my class has used before. If you haven't looked at Flipgrid before, I highly recommend it. It's just it's a website where you can go and record yourself making a little 1.5 minute video, whatever you like. You can set the time, and the students can kind of talk about what they've learned, and they can all see each other's videos. So that kind of gave me the oral component for my literacy science mashup. I'm not sure. Is there any questions?
Lori,
Yeah.
There was a question.
Yes.
Do you keep it on view only when you share anything?
No. So when the kids, oh yes. So when I send this to the students, I'm going to share it in view only. And then I'm going to tell them once they go in to go into present mode. And then obviously it's a lot bigger and easier to see for them. And in view only, all the links work. So I double checked that. And what I did, because these were my first two virtual classrooms that I made, I emailed one grade 3 student, one grade 4 student, and said, hey guys, I need some help. I really need some quality control inspectors to look at these virtual classrooms that I made. So these two you know, eager students that I have were like, sure. So I kind of gave them a list, like, can you see if this works, this works, this works? And they went through the virtual classroom for me and then emailed me back with feedback on how it all worked. And, you know, I did get some good feedback. The one student told me, well, I couldn't open the Flipgrid because I didn't have the Flipgrid app on my iPad. So now I know when I send this out to give them instructions to say, if you're using an iPad, you will need to have the Flipgrid app, right? So, yeah, and then I did share it in my Google Meet because it's the first time we did a Google Classroom, or a virtual classroom. So I kind of showed it to them in there too. And they were kind of like, wow, how'd you do this? So they were obviously, hopefully sparking their engagement, and hopefully they'll be excited to get it next week.
You can also save it as a PDF, and then it's still clickable as the PDF that you could then post somewhere else. So then they don't need present mode.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they're really fun. And like I said, I think, you know, it's engaging to look at, but also gives us a really good opportunity to provide, you know, good content in a variety of ways that hopefully, I know some of my parents have been struggling with, like, oh, I have to sit down with them so much to do this or do that. And I was really hoping that this might be something they can do a lot more independently. It's very easy to go on into Epic and read. It's very easy to watch a video. The hands-on activities are very straightforward. So I'm hoping that this is something a lot of them can do independently. Some of them might do a few things, and some of the eager students that are really interested might choose to do a lot. There's a lot on here to do, so it kind of leads that way. I'm also made a document that I'm going to share with them in Google Classroom that's just a learning log, so that every time they read a book, they can record the name of the book, and they can record kind of some of the things that they learned from it. Or if they watch a video, then they can record that. So that's kind of then the written component I have to go with it. Is just a little learning log to go along with what they've learned. I'm hoping I'm sort of covering like all my literacy bases plus the big ideas in the science curriculum.
Lori, question about writing on the chalkboard. How did you do that?
Oh yeah, so first I just inserted, so there's almost like two things here. So the chalkboard is a PNG image, and then I just made a text box and put it right over top of there. And then I just chose the white colored font so that it would show up so that I could then type on the chalkboard. So it's just a PNG image with a text box on top. Sometimes you might need to order your images. So for example, here's my whole classroom is like cactus decor. So I knew I had to throw a little cactus in there. So when you have that, you can always go to arrange and order. So now you can kind of see that it's behind the rock kind of, but if some of your images are covering up other images, so you can see the rocks are in front and that doesn't look right. So then you can always change the order of your images so that some things are in front and some things are behind so that they're layered how you want them to be. Any other questions?
I just love how it's all contained in one spot for the kids, right? Especially for the younger ones, like it's not so much to navigate. It's all in one spot and click away.
Right,
I can see where families would find this very helpful.
Right, and instead of just getting directions with a list of websites, I think it's a lot more engaging for the students. Sure. Yeah.
There's a question
and fun
about
for
Flipgrid.
You to create too.
Yes, Flipgrid. So Flipgrid, I will try here, going here to my Flipgrid app. So of course, before I made this post, or attached it, I went into my own Flipgrid account and sort of created it first. So I can log in here as myself. So this is my Flipgrid. I used Flipgrid a lot in the past when I've done the global read alouds, and we share Flipgrids with students from other countries. So you can go in, you can choose backgrounds, you can always choose like this little GIF images to kind of motivate them. give them some instructions on what you'd like them to say. And all the students have to do, so they all have Google logins. So once you've sort of set up an account and set up your Flipgrid, all they have to do is come in and they click this plus sign, and right away will pop up. Well, it's taking a second, but will pop up a little screen that they can just start recording themselves in. So as long as they're on an iPad or a laptop with a video, usually doesn't take this long.
No,
I think you just have to give
Zoom is
permission.
using your audio and video, so the camera's
Oh,
probably not
right.
available.
So it's not going to work. Yeah. So then they just record themselves. They can add little like emojis and little doohickeys around themselves to decorate. And then students can also, after every post, students can also reply to one another. So it can be kind of like an online sort of conversation in a way too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for Lori?
Does anyone see a way we could you would use this with your core French or your French immersion students? I mean, obviously we could use it, but what kind of content do you foresee putting in it?
I think for my class, I would use it to record read alouds. I think I really liked her idea, like, of picking the books, but I also think you could do a really good job at finding really good French websites for them to visit too.
For sure. Yeah.
My teaching partner, Lindsay, and I said this last week in our little breakout group, created one of these that we like share together, and we were doing rooms of the house. So the first one we did, she like built a bedroom, and then she was able to embed like a voice recording of the vocab over each of the items in the bedroom.
Very cool.
Angela.
Yeah, who is that?
It's Jane. Sorry, it's Jane.
Yep.
Okay, I think probably the easiest way to do this, I've been sort of, as we've been going along, I've been trying to set up my own classroom step by step. So I'm just going to flip the camera here. Is my camera on?
Would you rather screen share?
Well, that didn't work last time we tried it. So.
Oh, that's right.
Can you see me?
I see your finger.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is flip the camera. Now, do you see my computer screen?
No.
What about now?
Yes.
Okay, can you see that? When I was in gathering things, I photographed the villages for the two classes. I've got that now on my background. Can you see that?
Yes, it's difficult to see because it's just a little thumbnail, right?
If Lori unshares, then
yeah, I'll just yeah.
There. Now can you see it? So that's
okay, so this is from your classroom, that photo, right? If I recall correctly.
I took the photo, and then I did a wall and a floor background, and then on top of that I superimposed the drawings of the villages that I took with my camera, well, with my phone, when I was last time in gathering things. So that's actually what my classroom looked like. But then this is the floor and the wall that I just downloaded from Google. So that's going to form my background in my classroom.
So just to give some context for those of you who aren't familiar with Jane's village, this is a predominant, it takes a big space in her wall, and it's a big part of your whole program, right? Jane, do you want to just talk really briefly about how your village runs? And why it's important that you would include that in your Bitmoji?
It forms a sort of it's quite a significant part of our oral communication. So everybody has a made-up person in a made-up village, and we take votes on where it's going to be, where in the French-speaking world. So the grade 6 one is in France. Grade 7 one's always in Quebec because I tie it in with history. So you probably can't see this, but they've got the seigneurial system, the fields, like they would have. So anyway, so that's the historic part. And we sort of tie it into other areas, but the main idea behind it is that they feel freer to speak as someone else. So by making up, and they get to choose their name, and we all have jobs, and yeah, it's a completely, if you Google simulation globale, it's that. And sorry, that was very clunky way to describe it.
No, it's no. Just I wanted to give context to why you would choose to put that wall in, because I understood because I'm familiar with it, but I just want to make sure everyone understood why you were doing what you were doing.
And everybody draws their house and their place of business. I've got a little shop up here by the beach, which you can't really see, but yeah, everybody and the hospital was drawn by the doctor and the nurse. So they just have so much fun with it. And the little sticky notes are just before we finish, before March break, they were creating brochures, like tourist brochures, advertising what's on. So they needed to know things like, well, what time is the aquarium open? And how much does it cost to get in? So people who own these businesses would put the sticky notes on so people would know what to write in the brochures. Sadly, that's as far as we got. Anyway, I'm hoping to get back to it.
It's fun. Yeah. And such a, like you said, a good way to get them talking. We could do a whole session on that alone, Jane.
We could have gone all day. Just,
but thanks for giving us context to your Bitmoji classroom.
Okay.
Is there anyone else out there that's working on Bitmoji classrooms? I know some of you reached out to me this week, and so, I mean, just timing wise, that's why we chose to talk about what we're doing. So if there's anyone else out there that wants to talk about your experience creating it, some of the content, or I mean, if you're really comfortable, feel free to screen share, whatever you want to do.
I haven't gotten started yet. It's Pam Cook. I teach at Sir Dunmore. I haven't gotten started yet with virtual classrooms, but I've been trying to find ways to like wrap up the year. And my plan once I get started is to do what Kelly said, make like a virtual library so that they can tap through YouTube videos of me reading a bunch of French books over the summer. So I'm thinking of posting it that last week. And then I was trying to figure out how to do a goodbye for them too using that. Maybe create a student a Bitmoji, and then when they tap their own Bitmoji, there's a voice note of me like thanking them for all their hard work this year or whatever. So I'm trying to figure out creative ways to wrap up the year using this.
One project that I started working on, just kind of using my sort of all the new things I've learned, is I'm making like a digital memory book for them. So now that I know, like, you know, how to put in the different backgrounds and embedding different like web links and pictures and things. So it's kind of like, it's going to be a memory book, but not something they maybe would want to print out, something they would want to do maybe digitally, because it's going to have different things like embedded into it, like you kind of would into a virtual classroom. So that's kind of my year end kind of project for them to do. And yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, then I guess we will move along. Lori, thank you so much for coming and helping us learn a bit more about it.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Steph.
Hey, so last week we talked a little bit about micro videos, and so this week we wanted to talk a little bit about provocations. So ways to engage your students and get them thinking about a topic or an idea. So basically these are little short videos that will capture their attention and get them to think about something. And you want to have some way to have that connection with their emotions and make them want to think more about the topic. So we have a couple of examples for you, just to show you quickly things that you can do for these videos.
Let me start it.
Mm-hmm.
We have studied lots of different kinds of animals this year. Take a look at these scales. What animal do you think they might have come from? Draw a picture of the animal and explain why you think these scales would come from that animal. You might also want to consider why some scales are darker and some scales are lighter.
So I try to add captions to my videos just because it adds an extra layer for students to access the video. And from an English language learner perspective, it gives them that text, and these particular captions highlight the word that is being said so they can follow along and see the word and hear the word at the same time. But captions make things accessible for a wide variety of students. And I also turn them on when I'm in Google Meets or Zoom, I find them helpful. This was done in Clips, and Clips has live titles that you can turn on before you record a video.
Awesome. All right, so that's one example of a provocation video. And then Teresa has one for us. Do you want to put it into context for us, Teresa?
So I thought sometimes when you're reading a story, you can do a prediction. So I had permission to use this from a French teacher. So I just put it into Clips. Hindsight, I would have used that what Steph was just talking about in there to maybe put it in English as well, so they could understand if they didn't know. But if you just play it, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Bonjour mes amis, aujourd'hui je vais vous lire une histoire qui s'appelle Au marché avec grand-maman. Samedi, Anne va chez grand-maman. La mère et le père de Anne doivent aller travailler. Au revoir Anne, dit son père. Amuse-toi bien avec grand-maman. Anne, dit grand-maman, allons au marché. Je dois acheter de la nourriture pour le souper de dimanche. Anne et grand-maman marchent jusqu'au marché.
So I think I would have had my voice. Yeah, I put the background. I wasn't sure about the background music, so thank you, Allison. Yeah, so a different way to present a story could be that.
The alternative for that too would also be, depending what you're comfortable with, you could be videoing yourself reading the story aloud, right? So like what you would normally do in a classroom, sitting at the carpet together and read aloud and show at the same time. Obviously, it's depending on your level of comfort at that. But yeah, there's lots of ways you can go with that. And then I created one where I'm trying to get students to take a side on an issue, I chose a current event. It could be anything at all. Think of our persuasive writing type activities, topics. I chose to talk about something that's relevant to this time.
Pendant ce temps de COVID-19, les masques attirent beaucoup d'attention. Il semble qu'il y a un certain niveau de protection quand vous portez un masque.
On recommande fortement de le porter.
Ce qu'on souhaite, c'est que les Québécois adhèrent sans qu'on soit obligé de les forcer. Jusqu'à il y a récemment, les gens étaient confinés. Donc, il y avait à peu près personne dans les autobus et les métros. Donc, c'était moins grave. C'est pas à l'épreuve de tout, le masque.
Pas question pour le moment de le rendre obligatoire comme dans les métros de Paris et New York.
Les masques devraient-ils être obligatoires en public? Que penses-tu?
Okay. So that video as well was made with Clips. And I think we might look at that some week, actually exploring Clips a little bit more with you guys. It's a really easy, user-friendly app to use, and there's it just creates a really professional looking video without too much work on your part. What I liked about this with using clips is I was able to add those little stickers in the video or on the photos where I could, basically I'm scaffolding for the students, right? I'm putting some English translation there on the words that I thought might impede their comprehension. I also use the closed captioning with the highlighted word so that they can hear it and see it at the same time. Just some of those scaffolding that we would do in the classroom, trying to do that within a video context. So as a response to this, I mean, obviously you do what you want with your students, their age, what would make sense. They might respond to you in a video and defend their side. Est-ce qu'on devrait porter les masques? Oui ou non? It might be a writing response. It could just be a thinking activity. They don't always have to produce something, right? It might just be something to get them talking at home. Are there any questions regarding how you might use a provocation video or comments? Okay, just checking the chat, make sure we didn't miss anything. Okay, so we're going to do it a little bit differently this week, just because we always end up with different size groups. Some are so small, with maybe 1 or 2 people, and others are so huge. So at this point, if you would like to stay for a breakout group, this is the end. This is basically all we have left. So if you want to stick around and participate in a breakout group, we will go into those for the next maybe 10 minutes. What do you guys think? Okay. And if you would rather leave now, that's okay. We understand. But Rod, we are going to just do random groupings today of about 5, 6 people. We should have told you that before. Sorry.
Steph kept me in the loop.
Oh, good job, Steph.
So I'm just shuffling so we make sure we have balanced groups. I created some groups, and as people are just checking out because they're overfilled with great ideas, I'm just going to move these people around to make sure we have about 5 or 6 in each group. Actually, we can maybe do 4 to 5, looking at the number that dropped. Yeah. Okay, just a second. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So we've got groups of 5, it looks like. And we'll let you turn on your cameras if you like. Open your microphones and join in real person face-to-face conversation with a small group. And then we'll meet back here in 10 minutes or so. All good to go?
I think so.
Okay, we'll see you in a little bit.
So Rod, is the former chat gone then, or will it come back? The chat before we go into breakout?
That's a great question. If you open the chat, do you see the chat as we last left it?
Looking for that link that was there, but I do have it. So I'll put it back in the chat. But
shoot,
I have
that's
it.
Annoying.
I have it somewhere. I can go back and find it.
So there's your answer, Leanna. Sorry.
Steph will put it back in though.
Yeah, but there was a few things in there, wasn't there, that other people shared too?
Oh, sorry. Do you want? I can put that link for the classroom.
There was just somebody looking for like how they could keep them all.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
So I don't mind. Like I said, I would save the chat and send it to her. But obviously, it's only the most recent stuff now. Teresa, you're muted.
Was there any other links in there? I didn't think so. I don't think so. I think that was the main one.
Okay. Awesome.
So we can
well then, Leanna, it might just be easier for you to copy and paste it right now. That's the only thing.
I will get a copy of the chat and I can email it.
I can do that.
Yeah, if you can.
I can do that, Rod. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, were there any questions or anything that came out of your breakout room? We had one and I forget what it was already. Someone from my group want to remind me? We wanted to ask about it, but I forget what it was.
We talked about that link for the classroom. That was one thing.
There was something else though. But
yeah, it was about saving the virtual classroom PDF.
Oh, right, to Seesaw.
Oh, the share. Yeah, what's the best way in Seesaw? Lori, are you still with us?
I'm here. I can answer.
Okay.
So if once your slide is complete and you've got all your links embedded, then you can, in Google Slides, you can choose to save your slide as a PDF. Okay. And then that PDF is clickable. So you could then upload it into Seesaw or into Google Docs. The nice thing about the PDF is that they don't have to go into present mode in order to click the links. The links work just from the PDF document itself.
And they won't have to like sign into Google or anything like that either, right?
No, they won't have to, no. Once they access that PDF, they could even save it on their computer and still be able to click on it.
Yeah, that's what I want to do, like for the little kids, and there was no like logging into Google or anything like that. I can just click on it. Perfect.
Yep. You can do that in Keynote too. If you use Keynote at all, you can make clickable PDFs in Keynote.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's file, and then you want to find download. You're downloading it to a PDF.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are here, Lori. I'm sorry.
I am. Yeah. No, but that was good. You answered it. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just under file, download, and then save as PDF.
Give that a try.
Is there anything else that came out of the other breakout rooms? I think that was the big thing from our room. There was a question anyways, and I wasn't 100% sure. All right. Well, then I think that pretty much brings us to an end. As always, we're looking for your feedback, things you'd like us to explore. We really do try to, last week somebody had mentioned Bitmojis and report cards, and so we do try to be very timely in our response. So don't hesitate to drop us a line. And I'm also interested, if you don't mind, filling it out and just let us know the feedback on the breakout groups. We're just trying to figure out what the best way is to suit everybody's needs. Those who really do want to participate in them, but those who really aren't comfortable, we're trying to find what the best fit is. So just give us your feedback on that as well, how that worked today. And I think that's it, right, ladies?
That's all. Thanks everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, and thank you, Lori, again for sharing. That was great.
That was awesome.
Thank you for having me. That was great.
Well, happy Friday afternoon, everybody. Enjoy your
Yes, enjoy this weekend. Hopefully it's nice
It's
with the
gonna be
mask.
hot this weekend, I think.
I know. Excited.
Great.